Welcome back to Houston Life. It is the first week of school for many local children, and along with the excitement of seeing friends and meeting new teachers, there can also be some back-to-school jitters.
All right, and knowing the difference between normal first-day nerves and something more serious can be tough. So we have brought in the experts to share some tips for parents today.
Yeah, Dr. Tracy Wittenberg is an assistant professor of psychology at Houston Christian University, and Leticia Holbert is an HCU alum and current school psychologist. Ladies, welcome to you both.
Yes, thank you.
Let's just break down what a school psychologist is, because I think the first line of defense, a lot of parents might think the teacher in the classroom is going to be seeing the bullying and maybe seeing some signs that a student is a little bit upset. Walk us through this.
So a school psychologist is a jack of all trades. We kind of do a lot of different things within the school environment. We do assessment, looking for learning differences, neurodevelopmental disorders, emotional behavioral disorders. We do program development for not only school campuses, but for individual children. We work with students, parents, communities, teachers. We're the problem solvers on the campuses.
Yeah, and it's really, Leticia, about kind of breaking down each student's situation in each class, right? Because you can't just blanket this. Every child is different. Everyone's going to have a different experience.
Absolutely. And with that being said, like, parents have to really notice and observe like behavioral changes in their children and compare that to what their typical behavior is throughout the day.
Yeah.
And why is it important to address a student's mental health needs in a classroom or in a school?
Early intervention, early intervention. We're the first stop. You know, if you think about it, children spend a significant part of their day within the school.
Yeah.
So we really are, as you said, the first line of defense. And the earlier we can catch an issue, the better the prognosis is. We want to have every child have optimal academic, social, emotional, behavioral, and developmental outcomes.
Yeah, Leticia, I want to talk about HCU's training in the next generation, because as alum, is this something that you went into trying to figure out, okay, they've helped me with this for me. I want to help younger students coming in take this on as well.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Wittenberg is amazing. She provided us with all the necessary skills that we need to go out and, you know, look at and support the teachers in the school to identify certain triggers of anxiety. And a lot of times parents and teachers, they don't know what those things look like. So some things that would be some red flags would be like the intensity or the duration or the frequency that children experience, like, you know, signs of anxiety. You know, some of those things could include like complaining of headaches, appetite changes, withdrawals, complaining of stomach aches, sleep changes, also reduced interaction with friends and family, refusing to go to school, just a lot of different things that they can experience, decrease in their academic involvement as well, and just excessive worry can, you know, take over a child's just day-to-day function. And those are some red flags that we should look for as parents and teachers in the school to say, hey, we may need to do some intervening.
See, this, I'm glad you're listing off these things, because some of the things on the list, like, oh, my tummy hurts, my head.
I'm tired.
These are things that are commonly heard from young people, right? So if you're a parent and you're observing behavior in your child that maybe seems a little bit off, how do you know when it's the time to get the school psychologist involved?
Well, I think that you really have to compare understand and know what is typical or normal behavior for your child. So you have to know that and then understand, like, okay, well, hey, they're, you know, isolated more than what they typically are, or like, hey, you know, normally they, you know, they're not complaining of the symptomology of having headaches or, you know, just complaining about not feeling well or not wanting to go to school. So those are a lot of things that if the previous year, if they were like excited, ready to go to school, and then you see these changes that are occurring over an extended period of time, then that's when you can say, hey, I need to contact, you know, the appropriate mental health professional or, you know, behavioral health specialist, depending on the area of concern that the parents have.
They can step in and help out. Tracy, let's talk about HCU students that are learning. What are they learning to help these students respond to these mental health situations?
Such a great question. You know, we focus on HCU at the whole child, not just academic, not just emotional. And so all of our students go through rigorous academic training. We go from assessment to counseling to interventions to crisis. We work with, each student has opportunities to work individually with mentors, not only on campus, but within the schools. And then finally, we have practicum and internship opportunities within the greater Houston area where they actually go out and work with school psychologists who are practicing in the school so that they can hone their skills.
Yeah, that firsthand training right there, right? Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Dr. Tracy Wittenberg, Leticia Holbrook, we're going to take a quick commercial break, continuing the conversation on back-to-school stress and anxiety with Houston Christian University when Houston Life returns. Dr. Tracy Wittenberg, Assistant Professor of Psychology at Houston Christian University, and Leticia Holbrook, HCU alum and school psychologist, about back-to-school anxiety.
Yeah, and we want to dive right into some of the warning signs of anxiety and what parents can do to help. And ladies, I was just mentioning to you, my youngest nephew at 5, going into kindergarten this week, he was very upset when he left and when he had to leave my sister, but once he was there, he's fine. And that is a sign where it might not need to be, watched as much as if he never calmed down. Right, Tracy?
Right, and that's such a good point. That first time leaving home can be really, really scary. And we kind of expect that teachers are ready for it. But once we get them into the classroom, we see a lot of that because they're active and they're meeting new people and they're having fun. And so that's what we want to see. If it begins to extend into the terror going into the classroom, they don't self-calm, that's when you might want to go ahead and start getting a school psychologist involved.
Or even the night before, right? They're dreading the next day, for sure.
I also feel like it's important to note that while we're talking a lot about elementary school students, because there are so many firsts, young people experience issues through college, right? So whether you're in elementary, middle, junior high, high school, college, there's like a different set of anxiety, right? But if I'm hearing you correctly, Leticia, you want to be sure that your school psychologists are prepared to handle any situation.
Absolutely, and I want to kind of circle back as well to the program at Houston Christian University. Dr. Wittenberg teaches the functional behavior assessment class, and what that particular, what that does is it teaches us to understand what is the function of the behavior, operationally define what that is, and then provide some recommendations and resources to better understand the behavior before it happens. But just like you said, it's all over from elementary, middle, high school, and college, because at each level, you have the elementary students that are separating from mom and dad. You have the middle school kids that are going into a new environment. Yeah. They're going to get into sports. They're going to get into social clubs. They are dealing with being socially accepted, body image, things like that. And it also increased academic responsibility. Then you go to high school and you have more pressure from ACT, SAT, college applications, things like that, getting into the university that you want. Then at college, it's like, okay, moving away from mom and dad, finances. Do I have enough money to afford these things?
Girl, she's taking me down memory lane right now. But you're so exactly right. This never really kind of leaves you. I feel like even in your adult life, getting a new job and things like that. I want to talk, Tracy, about what parents can do to help relieve some of this stress. How can we prepare for this, and what can we do to help?
You said the magic word, prepare. And that really is, it can be as simple as making sure you're going to meet the teacher night, make sure that you're doing the parent nights. I've even gone so far as to suggest before school even starts, do a drive-by, drive into the parking lot and go through. This is where the teacher's going to meet you and you get to go into the classroom. What do you think the classroom's going to be like? And it doesn't matter if you're in kindergarten or if you're in college, that going through and getting to know and being familiar so that first day you don't feel lost. And that really helps to kind of start to lessen that anxiety.
Man, do you remember how big those schools used to feel?
Oh,
just when you're walking in on any day, right?
I remember when 6th graders were huge.
Yes.
And now I go to a college campus and I'm like, why is everyone so little? We touched on this a little before the break, but when to get help, I think cannot be stressed enough. Parents sometimes don't want to push a child and keep checking in like, hey, are you okay? Are things okay? How do we begin the conversation, A, and how do we know when it's important to seek the help of a professional?
Well, I think that it's important for parents to understand what is typical behavior patterns that their children, exhibit throughout the day. Once you see that there are major changes over an extended period of time, they're not improving, they're increasing with intensity, and they're not getting any type of relief, then that's the time where, you want to, contact your mental health professional, a pediatrician. Even parents can start at the school. They can conference with the teachers. They can talk to administrators, get in touch with the school counselor, involve the school psychologist to provide strategies and recommendations for students, and also parents have to model. It's okay to ask for help. Asking for help is not a sign of failure.
Right.
It's actually a sign of strength.
So true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Tracy, you mentioned, Leticia, the help and asking for help. It's all about collaboration, right? With school psychologists, educators, parents, and people in the community. That's really so important when it comes to these organizations and figuring out the best route for your child.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up. We want to focus on the whole child, not just the child in school, but the child, how they function in school, but at home, within their community. We focus on the whole child and their development because we want to see every child thrive.
Dr. Tracy Wittenberg, Leticia Holbert, thanks so much for stopping by Houston. It truly is such an important conversation, and hopefully it helped a lot of viewers out there today.
Yeah.
Thank
very,
y'all.
very nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the meantime, if you'd like more info about HCU and better preparing your student for back to school, you can visit hc.edu and look for the College of Education and Behavioral Sciences.